The new now is here. You need an out-of-the-box user-friendly platform that will help you transition smoothly to the new normal. You need vSmart School. vSmart School is a one-stop teaching and learning online platform perfect for hybrid learning. This two-in-one system caters to your distance learning and classroom management needs. vSmart School supports self-paced, teacher-paced, asynchronous and synchronous formal education online. In vSmart School, students will attend daily online classes and access Vibal's DepEd-aligned digital curriculum from preschool to senior high school. Need content for college? We have them too! With the guidance of parents and teachers, students will follow DepEd's recommended day-to-day lesson calendar for an entire school year. Teachers using vSmart School can also create lessons, schedule classes, and monitor their students' progress. Most importantly, teachers can also live stream or securely conduct online classes through the platform's webinar feature. Looking for a perfect classroom management partner? vSmart School has got you covered as it boasts of an out-of-the-box learning management platform. It provides a library of gamified and interactive materials, a lesson plan repository mapped to the curriculum, assessment tools, and ebooks that feature augmented reality technology. This LMS component of vSmart School is integrated with a learning record system. This means that through the system, teachers and students can track their teaching and learning journey. Not just that, teachers can also monitor students' grades through an electronic grading sheet called Gradebook. And if you need to deploy tests online, you can do so with Test Guru, where you can enjoy thousands of free test questions ready for deployment through the Vibal Test Bank. See? All your distance learning needs are here in vSmart School. Packed with curriculum-aligned content, learners' progress reporting, and ebooks that are AR ready, vSmart School goes beyond the traditional classroom experience. The good news is, you can also enjoy the vSmart School experience without the internet connection through its mobile app. Downloadable from Google Play Store and Apple App Store. So what are you waiting for? Start your virtual classroom with vSmart School.
Good day, Kavibal, and welcome to our Learn at Home Facebook Live. For the discussion today, the topic will be on roles of teachers and students in feedback giving. Before we begin, take note of the following reminders. Make sure you are registered to the webinar to have your e-certificate of participation. Visit certificate.vibalgroup.com or your eTuro accounts to generate your proof of attendance. Share the video using hashtag LearnAs1PH as our official hashtag to all our Vibal webinars. Experience learning Kavibal. And now, to proceed with our webinar this evening, it is my pleasure to introduce to you our distinguished speaker today. Jeremiah F. M. Grafia has completed the academic requirements for Master of Arts in Education major in Language Education at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. He obtained his Bachelor of Secondary Education major in English with an undergraduate specialization in Filipino at the Philippine Normal University, Manila. At present, he is a junior high school teacher at Bangkal High School under the school's division office of Makati City. He also holds a TM1 qualification under TESDA, which allows him to handle technical courses related to English. He previously taught at OB Montessori Center Incorporated, Marian School of Quezon City, Hall of Leaders Academy in Beijing, China, Adamson University, and Makati High School. He obtained a number of recognitions for leadership and research in the Philippines and in several countries such as Singapore, Vietnam, and Malaysia. Mr. Grafia is also interested in languages and culture and continuously studies Chinese and Japanese at the present. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Mr. Jeremiah M. Grafia.
According to the cloud, sensya tayo. Okay. Good morning, everyone. To my Muslim brothers and sisters, Ramadan Kareem and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To my fellow teachers from the Visayas and Mindanao, maayong gabi sa inyong tanan. I am Jeremiah M. Grafia and I will be talking about the roles of teachers and students in oral feedback giving. As teachers, oral feedback giving is not something really unfamiliar to us. Whether classes are under face-to-face or online, we provide our students with oral feedback. However, despite its significance in teaching and writing, or should I say teaching and learning, oral feedback giving may not be getting the attention that it's supposed to be getting in relation with how teaching at the present is observed, and in relation with the design of classroom observation tools which are being used in observing teachers' classes in both private and public schools. This talk aims to raise teachers' awareness about the roles of us, teachers, and our students in oral feedback giving. I hope that by raising your awareness in these roles, this would allow you to maximize the use of oral feedback giving in your respective classes. Okay. I would like to begin this talk with defining what oral feedback is about. Oral feedback refers to whatever utterance a teacher would provide as a response towards students' utterances. This allows teachers to guide their students in the teaching learning process. And I would like to give an emphasis to the word guide. When we teachers guide our students, we have to remember that we serve as facilitators of students' learning. This means that our students should be placed at the heart of our teaching, and we, as teachers, as their teachers, should be at their side to guide them in the process of learning. We have to remember that we should not dictate them with where they will be or what path they should take. We have to remember that we are merely at their side, guiding them to what they would like to pursue. I would like to make use of classroom discussion as a concrete example of this idea. In a classroom discussion, teachers must not control such and be authoritative. When I say authoritative in class, I am referring to teachers not allowing students to freely express their ideas, feelings, and thoughts. In an authoritative setting, students merely listen to a teacher as well. Fellow teachers, my beloved fellow teachers, we have to allow our students to participate and to contribute in a discussion. As for the flow of discussion, we, as teachers, may lead students' responses to the objectives of our lessons in class through, for example, careful framing of questions. I remember that when I was way younger, I had teachers then who would merely respond to my answers to them. That's right. That's wrong. Does anyone have a better answer? Imagine that kind of response after trying hard to answer the questions then, or their questions then. Have you had a similar experience such as these? To share with you, these oral feedback were not helpful at all to me. Responses like this may cause students to think about what made my answer not correct. Did I provide a wrong answer to my teacher? Did I just fail to understand the question thrown to me? This, in turn, makes students feel anxious to participate in a classroom discussion, which weakens their participation in class. Through effective oral feedback giving, we are helping our students to be guided in their learning, recognized for the effort they exert in participating in classroom discussions, and respected in the process of teaching and learning. An effective feedback helps students to improve their classroom performance. This comes in the form of their participation, quality of responses in questions, and scores in both formative and summative assessments. And teachers should deliberately engage students in a dialogue. This kind of dialogue should not make them feel anxious. They must feel that it's the kind of dialogue they have with their friends or with their relatives. Such dialogue where they find themselves comfortable. The only difference is that it's happening inside the classroom. And in this kind of dialogue, the teacher has to be skilled in framing questions and providing quality feedback. This is because the discussion may deviate far from the lesson, and it is important for the teacher in that class to keep the students grounded with the lesson. But it's not limiting the students too much from such. Teachers must observe the Goldilocks principle in this case. That is to say, to keep students in the lesson, but to also allow them to share their thoughts. It's important for a teacher not to stay on either extremities, which refer to one, limiting students too much only to the lesson, and two, deviating far from the lesson. As the Goldilocks principle is concerned, the teacher should be at the point in between. This means to say that uh, so the teacher will help the students, together with the students, will keep the lesson on the ground, but also the teacher will also give opportunities for the students to share their thoughts and feelings. But the teacher in that process, in that particular process, should make sure that the discussion will be not very, very far from the featured lesson for that particular session. Okay? There are times that our schedule with our students get affected because of suspensions, breaks, and school programs. And for public schools, DepEd has an order for avoiding disruption of classes for its school personnel or for teachers. For private schools, on the other hand, I am referring to the experience I had teaching to a number of private schools. We have a bulk of lessons that we have to cover before the end of a particular quarter. Now, this is where the problem comes in. As teachers, if we find ourselves having a very limited time to cover all the remaining lessons, what happens usually in practice is that most teachers would hasten the discussion and would, as possible, skip enrichment activities. Um, in hastening the lessons, I am particularly referring here to limiting the possibility of breeding classroom discussions or executing classroom discussions in connection with the lessons we cover for our students. And this may not really be a good practice because in so doing, we have the tendency to merely transmit information to our students. We merely provide them a lecture about the topic, and we don't really leave them a space to share their thoughts, feelings, and ideas about the topic. In situations like this is where some teachers are reported to having students merely copy the lessons and for them to study by their own. For this part, although it's important to cover the lessons set for a particular quarter, if time is really limited, we may consider as teachers to cover only the most important ones and to let go of the lessons that may not really be that important because because of the limitation when it comes to the time. As the saying goes, it's not about the number of lessons that count, but this is about how each lesson is handled or covered by a teacher. And it's about quality over quantity, as they say, that counts. And it's also important for us to remember that even if we cover a lesser number of topics, as for the other lessons, you may actually integrate it with the lessons that you are to feature, the fewer lessons that you are to feature because of time constraints. That's possible through integration. Let's proceed to the next part. Okay, here. And teachers must not stop students when they are sharing something or when they are talking something in class. As how teachers are respected, as how we are respected by our students, this kind of respect must also be observed toward our students as they share something in class. And we may be thinking at this point of time, but what if a certain student has a tendency to overshare and takes much of my time as a teacher? This may be resolved by having an orientation with the students at the beginning. In the orientation, a teacher must inform the students that they may feel free to share their thoughts, ideas, or feelings about the lesson, but they have to also be responsible about what? Mm, They have to be cautious, they have to be judicious, whether what they are to share will be related or connected to the lesson. This strengthens the idea that teaching is not a one-man job at all. Teaching is a shared responsibility of a teacher with his or her students. And this means students also contribute to the building of knowledge in a class. This is the point where us teachers usually share that we also learn from our students. The moments we learn from our students are moments where we allow them to express and share their thoughts, feelings, and ideas. So it's important for us as teachers to always remember that knowledge is not only built by the teacher in the class, it's contributed by all members in the class, by the students and by the teacher. And actually, students can actually learn from themselves as well. So that would only happen if we give them the space to share their thoughts, ideas, and feelings. And we, as teachers in that particular context, would facilitate the classroom discussion, the interaction that would happen or that would take place among these students that we're having in our classes. Okay. Stephen Krashen is an emeritus professor of education at the University of California, and he is an expert in the field of linguistics and is a specialist in theories of second language acquisition. Stephen Krashen is credited with affective filter hypothesis. The affective filter hypothesis embodies Krashen's view that there's a number of affective variables which play a facilitative but non-causal role in second language acquisition. These variables include motivation, self-confidence, anxiety, and personality traits. Let us talk mainly about anxiety. Teachers' behavior, demeanor, and quality of oral feedback giving influence students' affective filter. What do we mean by that? This means that when students feel anxious in class, their affective filter may be raised, which in turn blocks their learning. It means to say that they're having difficulty understanding the things that we're teaching to them if their affective filter is raised. And when but the question now is, when can an oral feedback giving may cause anxiety to students? It could be that a teacher interrupts students to finish their utterance and immediately respond to them that their answers are not right. It may also be poor framing of questions, which does not help students to better understand questions thrown at them. And this may also be poor probing of questions. You know, the follow-up questions that a teacher would provide to the students after their utterances. So that is to say, poor guidance of leading students to expected answers from their initial response or utterance. As teachers, we must deliberately exert an effort to lower the affective filter of our students so that they will be able to learn at the optimal level. So how do we describe the situation of a student who has an affective filter that is low? When these students feel comfortable to share their thoughts, ideas, and feelings in class, and they're not anxious, and they know that if they would share, they would share something in the class, they will be respected, and that their ideas, thoughts, and feelings will be welcomed in the class by the not only by the teacher, but also with but also by his or her classmates in the class. Okay? Yeah. Let's proceed to the next one. Here. Teachers must help students have a positive attitude toward corrections offered to them. And there are times that as teachers, we really have to identify an utterance as wrong. Such identification promotes clarity. So it's clear that a particular response is wrong. The evaluation of a response as wrong may offend some students, but such may be avoided when they feel that the teachers care for them. Hence, a teacher must orient students that they should keep a positive attitude in corrections which will be offered to them or which will be provided to them by their teacher in a classroom discussion. And as a teacher, marking an utterance as wrong may be taken lightly. If a teacher would address the class in general, not really pointing out to the student who provided that wrong response or wrong utterance. Okay, so teacher, it will be taken lightly if a teacher would address the class in general and not only the student who provided the wrong answer. So it will be the entirety that the teacher should deal with, okay, in explaining that particular point. So as it says here, there's a quote here: people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. If students would know that you care for them during at the time that, of course, you tell them at the time of your orientation that you care for them, that they should welcome all those corrections that you would provide to them, then they will be welcoming to it. And they will not really feel offended because you're helping them to, have a good attitude in handling corrections. Okay. And with regard to this one, teachers must provide feedback after the student's utterance. So it should not be that teachers would stop the students while as they deliver a particular answer or as they deliver their utterance, because it's not really good. And several studies show that if teachers would do that, the students feel bad about it and their affective filter is raised. There's a tendency that they will not be participative then thereafter if teachers would interfere and or should I say would interrupt students if they're responding to a particular question that we are throwing to them or we are raising to them. And this is because if a feedback for an utterance will be provided at a later time, like, yeah, at a later time, it could be at the end of the class, or it could be like maybe like after a week that you will deal with all those points that the students would raise in a classroom discussion or in classroom discussions. There's a tendency that students would forget about such feedback. And that is to say, they would think about what are those feedback for, or what are those points that our teachers or that our teacher is telling about, because there's a tendency that they will forget about the points to being addressed by those feedback. right? And in order to avoid this, feedback then is best offered after a student's utterance so that the students would be able to connect the feedback to where it talks about, to the point that it talks about. Okay, let's proceed to this one. If you look at the picture, there are three people here who are like speaking in three different languages. Hola, Spanish, konnichiwa, Japanese, and hi for English. If you look at this part, teachers must use a language that the students can understand. So we must, the teacher together with the students must be able to understand one another. The language that the teacher will be using in the class should be understood by the students. The words, okay, and even like the level of words, if it will be like simple words or, and that teachers, for us teachers, we should avoid unfamiliar words because the purpose for us to provide feedback to students is for us, for them to understand the point that we're telling to them. And it will be futile, or it will not really be helpful if we are providing to them a feedback that they do not understand in the first place, right? And teachers must use a language that the students can understand. Imagine the difficulty that students would face if a teacher uses terms that cannot be understood by students. The teacher's feedback must verify if the student's answer is appropriate or not, and that must be elaborative. So that must elaborate, why is this answer correct or why is this answer wrong, right? And that is to say, it must provide an explanation to students why such response is correct or not, so that it will be clear for students, so that the next time around that they will encounter, let's say, that particular question again, the students would be able to provide the correct response for that one or the right answer for that one, and that they can explain why that's the right answer and why other answers are not correct. Okay, here. And this one, teachers must not immediately disengage with students who provided unexpected responses during a classroom discussion. Teachers must consider asking students about why they provided such response and where they coming from. What's the reason why they provided that? Okay. In doing so, at times, we will realize that some answers are times that students are actually aware or capable to answer a certain question. However, it could be that they have forgotten the term or that they cannot process their thoughts, or they cannot organize their thoughts. In situations like this, we have to give them the time to respond, and that we should not provide the correct answer immediately. This allows students to seize the chance to participate in a classroom discussion. With regard to the time that we will be providing to the students, remember that it should not be too short nor that it would be too long. Just like an ample time. If we feel that the student would not be able to provide the expected response, even if the question was reframed and that the student was given an ample time, then that's the time that a teacher may consider providing the correct answer to a student. So we are referring to that as the waiting time. Okay? Here. Through oral feedback, teachers must provide students with details on what they have done, how they are doing, and what to do next. This seems to be like a teacher providing or handing students with a map. This map must provide students the capacity to check their progress, for students to check their progress, or where they are at, where they are at the present, and where they will be going. This makes the direction for students' learning clear, and in this setup, this benefits both students and teachers since students also prepare themselves for what follows in a lesson. So you see that kind of feedback that teachers would provide to students that would give them the idea about their progress, about what they've done already so far, uh, how they do at the present, like is it like good, how can like they improve it, do they need to work on some things, and for them about them performing better in the future. It also, the teacher can also be helpful with the oral feedback that the teacher would provide to the students. Okay, next, teachers must be careful with the amount of correction that we are providing to our students. It may not really be helpful at all and good to correct students for every mistake that they have in their response. In an English class, this may refer to every grammatical mistake in a statement, for instance. Remember that our focus on correction may be on the topic featured in a lesson. In this way, we lower students' affective filter and help them feel less anxious to participate in a classroom discussion. Nevertheless, we may take chances to correct the other points apart from the featured lesson. However, this must be done in a judicious manner, and that is to say, not too much, not too few, just the point in between. Because in a lesson, we have to remember that having incidental learnings is also encouraged. But we have to remember that it should not be done too much at such point that students get confused about what's like the main topic of the lesson for now, because sometimes there's a tendency for some teachers that the incidental learning gets to be so much discussed in such a way that students would be confused about what is like the main topic. It defocuses them from from the main topic. Okay, here. And we are now living in a fast-paced society. We're in the 21st uh we're in the 21st now, okay? And as teachers, we must deliberately exert an effort to know the updates not only in our respective fields of studies, but also when it comes to the innovation, such as what mobile applications can be utilized for learning, who are the celebrities or influencers our students follow, what kind of activities our students are doing or do they enjoy doing. This boils down to the idea that the more we know our students, the more we are aware of the environment they have at the present. And so, the more that we would be able to perfectly design a learning experience for them. Or should I say, the more that we will be able to carefully frame the kind of feedback that we will be providing with them in a classroom interaction or in a classroom discussion. In terms of oral feedback giving, this awareness on trends helps us to better process students' ideas, experiences, and feelings that they share in class. The awareness on such prepares us to better respond on these things that they will share in class. In fact, for me, for some of my students, I ask them like about things that were like new to me. Like for example, one student that I had yesterday shared about Manila Yard. It's like something that was indeed related to our lesson. And so I asked him, what's that about? And so the student find found it really nice to share about it. And also opportunities like this, we can give them the time to practice the language. Say that you're teaching English. So you give them the opportunity to also practice the language, right? So you can give spaces for them to practice things. Okay. So you take it within your advantage for the good of the students. Okay, let's go here. Teachers must not limit ourselves from showing authentic expressions to our students, the real expressions that we have. Such makes our students feel that we are giving them an authentic experience or real experience of having a dialogue. In terms of modeling, as as teachers, we can take this chance as well to demonstrate how to appropriately react on responses from the people we talk with. We have to remember that as much as possible, we provide authentic experiences to students, not experiences that are contrived or, that just designed for a certain activity. Remember that we prepare our students for real life. Hence, they should be familiar with how conversations with people should be like. In demonstrating authentic expressions, teachers must also be careful. A teacher must know his or her limits in presenting authentic or real expressions, and that he or she should make sure that he or she would still be able to keep students respect even after demonstrating authentic or real expressions. So that's the challenge for teachers, to maintain being to keep being respected out of those real or actual expressions. Because when students would see that, for example, you're being surprised on something that they will share, in a way they will appreciate what you are present in a way they will appreciate your response to their utterances, or to their message, or like to what they share in class, because that would give them the idea that you are listening, right, to what they are sharing, as shown by your reactions. And in a way they will also learn from your reactions, like how can they react over something. So in a way, we are modeling appropriate responses on we are modeling appropriate responses on some things, where they can actually refer on to look as their pattern or as their guide for appropriate expression. Okay, let's go to the next part. um, Teachers must not answer his or her questions thrown to students. So it could be that we have had some of us have had teachers way back then who would raise questions in class, and then no one would actually answer. So would just like let the teacher answer all those questions, which is not really good. So when we repeatedly do that, repeatedly doing this, us answering our questions, we're giving our students the idea that it's just okay for them not to answer our questions. And so this will result for them to be not this will result for them not becoming participative in our classroom discussion. Okay, because they're thinking that, oh, okay, if my teacher would come up with all those questions, it doesn't actually matter if, like, no one among us students would be able to respond to that or to those questions, because we know that the teacher would be able to answer that. So as teachers, we should really give the students a space for them to answer. We should not take opportunities to answer our own questions. Okay, so that they will really be participative. Okay, let's go to the next part. Okay, here. And teachers must not limit students' responses with short answer responses. Like, for example, yes or no, or like one word answer to questions. For instance, it may not be good if we would ask our students to only respond with yes or no. It would be best to provide students with why and how questions, because these kind of questions allow teachers to exploit and to explore the learning gap. So we would be able to get into the mind of our students, like what are they thinking, where are they coming from, why they came up with such idea. And in, so we would not be able to explore on that and to exploit that particular learning gap if we would give students short answer questions. Okay, like one word questions, like one word answer questions. So questions asking only like for one word as the answer. And there are still more things that teachers and students should observe in relation with how oral feedback giving should be observed in class. Reading academic journals and recent studies on oral feedback giving would allow us to have a better understanding of how we as teachers can maximize oral feedback giving in our classes. But if I would tell you, the studies about oral feedback giving is like very limited by now. Much of the studies about feedback giving has something to do with writing. So it's a field that is still being discovered by now by researchers. Okay, here. Teachers must give students an opportunity to also develop self-correction. So, you know, the students must be able to correct the mistake that they have in their structure or in their statements. And this practice can be promoted by teachers giving merely hints or clues to students, which can be observed through restatement of a question. It could be by repetition of the utterance with an emphasis to the erroneous part of the utterance. How do we observe the emphasis? It could be by like raising the voice at the particular part, or it could be having a pause before the word concerned or before the part that is concerned. So yeah, so because when we help students to self-correct, we're helping them to become independent afterwards, because they will be able to self-correct even if we are not by their side, or even if we're not around, because we've we've helped them to work on their self-correction. They will be able to correct themselves in both like writing and in speaking about that particular topic. Okay, that's it. So my name is Jeremiah M. Grapia, and I would like to thank you for spending your precious time with me for this talk. I hope that this talk raises your awareness about the roles of teachers and students in oral feedback giving. I also hope that such awareness would help you and your students to maximize teaching and learning through oral feedback giving. If you have questions or clarifications on points I shared in this presentation, please feel free to send me a message to my email indicated in the slide. Thank you, Bibal, for the opportunity to share about this topic through your platform. Again, I'm Jeremiah Grapia, and I would like to thank you all for attending this talk.
There we have it. In behalf of Ibal Group Incorporated, I would like to thank our speaker for today for this indeed very timely and eye-opening learning session. It is an honor to have you with us today, sir. And to all our Kavibal viewers, all thanks to you for your continuous patronage to all our daily learning session. Don't forget to register to get your e-certificate of participation. The link is in the caption of this webinar. We also encourage you to subscribe and watch on our official Vivo Facebook and YouTube channel. You may rewatch this webinar on our Facebook page and on your eTuro accounts. Muli maraming salamat at magandang araw sa ating lahat. Happy weekend mga kavibal!